and welcome to this edition of HCS Matters. My name is John Wright. We're hanging out today at James T. Alton Middle School with three young ladies that have excelled way beyond expectations and will do well in the future, and I know they will. We're with Desiree Bryant, Jerica Johnson, and Ella Shearer here at James T. Alton. And so Mr. Rowland, who is the athletic director here at the school, teaches here at the school. He's like the captain of your fan club. I mean, why is that? Why do you think he adores you guys so much? And we'll get into why you're special, but tell us why you think you're special.
You want that to go?
Okay. I think Mr. Rowland knows our full potential on the court and in the classroom, and expects a lot from us and wants to see us succeed. So he's going to do whatever it takes to get that accomplished.
Okay. What do you think, Jerica?
I think it's just because we treat each other like sisters, so he wants to get that bond closer than what it already is.
Sure.
Well, it's because we all have like a good personality and the way we act around each other, and then we have built each other up. Like Ella, she used to be like a quiet person and never talked, but we've got her like to boost herself up so she talks more. Jerica, she was immature a lot, and we got her to be more mature. And then they have taught me to be well behaved in class, and yeah.
So, from what I can gather from Mr. Rowland, you guys maybe entering your 6th grade year, maybe even as late as 7th grade, you probably weren't as close and probably had some other things, and then we won't get into, whatever, but you probably weren't as close, weren't as sisterly, whatever. So what's changed over the last couple of years to really bring you guys together to form the true bond that you have?
Us being in practice and playing basketball with each other, and then after school we always just, like when we used to stay in here for games, it would literally just be us three all doing whatever, and we would just be chilling and laughing.
Mm-hmm. We've expected each other to be there when we need help or something.
Yeah.
And so we've trusted one another, and as the trust grew, we've become more like sisters.
Okay. Eighth grade middle school it's an odd time, kind of a strange time, whatever. So it's a time where I've got a couple of middle school daughters. They go through it. I think all middle schoolers go through it. A time where it's just kind of awkward. But you guys you've embraced that time and grown together. Talk about that. How you've kind of overcome those odd middle school years.
Well, we just ignore all the negative stuff, and we just think about positive. Like when we lost to Fort Knox in this middle school season, a lot of people were talking about it, saying how bad we were, but we just overcame it, and we just got better. And Miss Ella took us to a double overtime in our semifinal game against East, which we lost, but we still had our head high, and we just overcame everything.
Sure.
We knew that it didn't really matter what other people wanted to say. All that really mattered at the end of the day is what we thought of each other. Sure. And we all thought that we had done our jobs and worked hard, and that everything was worth it.
Sure. Jerica, your thoughts?
Like Desiree said, I mean, we always turn the negative stuff into positive things to laugh about, because we know whenever we step on the floor, we're going to give it all that we can, and we don't really care about what others say because we're doing us stuff.
So you guys play varsity basketball at North. Obviously played some 8th grade ball here this year. What was the transition like from 8th grade ball this fall to varsity basketball, later in the fall and through this season that you guys just finished? What was the transition like?
Well, for me, I'll just say, for me and Ella, it was probably more easier because we was already used to it. But for Jerica, we had to help her through it and get a more bond with the other teammates and put her in our shoes. So
it's a lot faster paced. It's a whole new team, so you have to learn what each other's good at, and the coaches help a lot with that, making us more like a family.
Right.
It was different. It was faster, and then everybody was good at stuff, and I was so small. It was hard.
Right.
So I had to find my ways to make things easier.
So here's the varsity team. I mean, they're sophomores, juniors, seniors, and here come these 8th graders along. So what's their reaction to seeing you guys, how close you are, and then, having you compete for playing time?
That's a good question.
I don't think they liked us.
I think at first, like last year, it was a little bit different for them all. But 8th grade, for us, they were more welcoming, and they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to be a part of our group and just to be able to laugh and have as much fun as we did. And they really want us at practice. Like, if one of us aren't there, then they didn't like it because we're just as much a part of the team as they are.
Good deal. Has Whitney made that difference? I mean, has she been kind of one of the driving forces behind that?
Yes.
Why is that?
Her personality to me, it like makes you want to get up and do better. It doesn't make you want to just sit and pout. It just gives you the drive to do better.
She's believed in us, knew we could do whatever we put our mind to, and knew that to do that we'd have to come closer together. And so she's given multiple opportunities for us to do that.
Like when one of us were like upset or like angry, she would come talk to us personally, tell us that it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. We just can't let it get into our head. We just have to overcome that mistake and then move on.
So, is there a point in the season where, you as 8th graders, is there a point in the season, you've played a season going into the varsity season. Is there a point where you just like run into a wall? I mean, where I'm just tired of this. Is there a point where you hit that in the varsity season?
No.
Good. Why not?
Because being on the team and having those coaches and having them by my side, it just brings hope. Like when I'm at home and I'm bored, I'll probably text Ella or I'll call Jerica. They'll probably make me happy, or text the group chat and ask them what are they doing, and then make them want to like go play basketball, or we all meet up somewhere and just have fun.
Okay. Is it fair to say your bond, the sisterly bond that you guys have, is it fair to say it helps you overcome obstacles both on the court and off?
Yes.
For sure.
Why is that?
Because we know that if anybody wants to say anything to us, that they're going to be there to calm us down or to bring up something else that's going to make us happy and forget about the situation.
So let's talk about the future on the court. You guys finished a game or two above 500 this year. Lost in the district tournament. I'm talking about varsity wise. So what's the future look like for North Hardin girls basketball with these three ladies around?
Oh, I believe we're going to win the championship coming up, because we have a strong connection, and then plus, if more people start to come, we're just going to bring them along, have a connection with them as well. We're not going to exclude anybody out. If they want to join, they can join. But then if they don't, then that's their loss.
Okay. So talk about your all's bond off the court. We talked a little bit about that, but talk about I guess bringing others kind of into your circle. I mean, there's a kindness factor that we talk a lot about for middle schoolers, and we emphasize that a lot in middle school, because sometimes the middle school isn't so kind. So talk about the example that you guys set, because talking to Mr. Rowland, you guys are not only leaders on the basketball court. It sounds like you're leaders in this student body of 700 and some students here at James T. Alton Middle School. How have you achieved that? How have you achieved that leadership role here at school?
We want people to see how we treat each other and hope that other people can build a bond that we have, and we don't want anybody to feel left out. Okay. So we try and include everybody.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Jerica?
As a 6th grader, these two always had me underneath them. and they were always there for me. So I feel like the sixth graders coming up, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we did for them. So it'd be right if everybody else did that for their others.
That's one good question. They just said everything. When we see somebody that was absent for a long amount of days, we would either go up to them, ask them what they need help on, or help them with the work. We won't ask the teacher we won't ask the teacher what they need to work on, because we know, and we would just go help them. Our sixth grade friends, Carly, she was struggling, I think, in basketball, and we helped her, and then because she couldn't focus with school and basketball at the same time, so we had to help her after school and with work.
So, a lot of people just don't understand middle school. I mean, you just don't. I sit here and say it's tough. It's a tough period of time, but I really can't explain it anything other than that. So, what makes middle school tough? I mean, what makes this time of life a more challenging time? And you guys have overcome those obstacles. But what makes what creates those obstacles?
The people.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who just have negative feelings towards everything.
A lot of your peers.
Yes.
Okay.
And their goal is just to
bring us down.
Bring you down, and we just know that it's not worth it.
Sure.
Coach Cooper says.
If there's people who really care about you, and then you got to find them and just have fun with them.
All right. What's Coach Cooper say?
She says once you start to succeed, people are going to try to find the little things to bring you down, to make you have failure. So.
Have you seen that? Have you seen people?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody trying to break you guys up or whatever? The Three Musketeers, Three Sisters.
They'll kind of ask who's better or whatever, and we don't answer it.
We don't answer it. There's no point to answer that question.
We just say nobody. It's a trio. That's what makes it.
How big of a role does the social media play in your I guess those obstacles that we talked about? social media drama. Is that because
No, there's no.
Not with you guys, but what I mean, I didn't. You talked about the people. I mean, in what you're trying to overcome. I mean, do you have to overcome a lot of that junk?
Yes, because some people like to text me and her sometimes on saying how bad we suck and how we're not going to be better than this, or they try to come for you saying how you're not as good as a three-point shooter as and it's really not worth it. It's literally a waste of time, because all we're going to do is just ignore it, and then we're just going to move on.
And they can't tell us how good we're going to be. Only we decide that.
There you go. Good. You guys move on to North Hardin next year. You'll probably be in. Yeah, I know. There's the sad faces. So this is February. We're taping this last day of February. So now you've got March, April, May left. So three months. Next year you're going to see each other. You're still going to be on the same basketball teams, but you may not have the same classes. You may not. You may be in different parts of the building at different times. So what's that transition going to be like for you guys when you go up to high school?
We're still going to be in touch with her. We're going to come down here and see most of her games, especially 8th grade night.
Oh, Lord.
It's going to be hard to keep intact, because we don't know when they're probably going to have practices and when they're going to have games, and then when we're going to have summer conditioning and off-season conditioning. So we're going to try our best to have that same bond with each other.
Okay. You guys, I know North Hardin has embraced you wearing the Team Tinley shirts, and I know that group of that family, and just talk about how you've kind of surrounded Tinley. Tinley is a young lady in LaRue County who's has cancer, has leukemia. She is Coach Dandy, who one of your assistants' nieces. So just talk about how you've kind of embraced. I saw a couple of videos with you guys with Tinley. Just talk about how you've kind of embraced that, and kind of how you've rallied around her to make her and her family feel strong.
That's who we play for.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's not there to see it, or she's not there to be out and live in the moment. So we just put her in our hearts and we play for her. There's not going to be any regret. If we lose, we know that we fought hard and that it was all for her. Win or loss, we're still going to have the same amount of love for her and respect.
Okay. Basketball season is over, so now what's the summer like? Talk about how you get ready now for the transition to full-time varsity basketball, full-time high school careers. Just talk about what this summer is going to be like for you guys.
I'm going to be training and playing AAU.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the golf course to focus on something else for a little bit.
Okay.
Just to get a break. That way, when basketball season in the summer does roll back around, I'm ready to go back at it full force.
Okay.
I'm going to be on the soccer fields, staying in shape. I'm always going to have that competition. That's my drive, so as soon as I come back on the basketball court, it's full force going.
You play basketball? Will you play soccer at North as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, good deal. Well, we're going to get Mr. Rowland in here to talk more about you guys. You guys can watch and make fun of him as he talks. But we appreciate you, and not only do we appreciate what you do on the basketball court, we appreciate what you do for each other. We appreciate what you do for your peers, for your peer students. Because listening to Mr. Rowland talk, you guys stand out. Whether you know that or not, I think you may know that, but you guys are leaders here in this building, and we appreciate that. Believe it or not, all the way up to the district level, we've heard about you guys, and we've heard about the sisterly bonds. So we hope others can emulate what you do, and just show that kindness to others in school, and that hopefully will spread and get rid of all that junk that we talked about. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. We're going to talk to Richard Rowland. He's the athletic director here at James T. Alton, teaches here at James T. Alton, and obviously knows these young ladies very well. Richard Rowland's the AD here at athletic director, here at James T. Alton Middle School, and you've seen these young ladies that we just talked to and experienced them for several years. To talk about, from an adult standpoint, talk about their bond and how they've created that bond.
Well, one thing, John, that struck me when Dez and Jerica came to Alton. Dez came as a 7th grader and Jerica came as a 6th grader last year. And the thing that has always struck me as an athletic director, as a coach, and I've been doing this now for 10 years, is I have never seen 3 kids that have literally nothing else in common with each other outside of basketball latch onto each other the way that they have to support each other, not just on the court, but in the classroom, in the hallways, outside of school. I've never seen it before. In 10 years of doing this, I've never seen it.
What's created that with them?
I think a lot of it was their talent on the court led to our success the last 2 years as a girls basketball program here at JTA. They went to the semifinals twice in 2 years. That's big for us, especially when you have teams like East Arden, when you have teams like TK Stone, and they have the talent to compete with them, so they form that natural bond on the court. The difference is it has translated beyond that. It's gone beyond that and gone into the classroom and into the building. Normally when you see that, it stays within the program. And they branch off into their own social groups, but at the end of the day, they're still there for each other.
Well, so yeah, I mean, this is bigger than basketball. I mean,
Yes.
I was attracted to this story because, I mean, I'm sure this happens all over the district. I mean, there's friends, there's good friends, and there's unbreakable bonds, etc. But these ladies have kind of taken that to a different level. Talk about how this is bigger than the game. This is bigger than just three friends that are acquaintances. I mean, those are probably going to be 3 lifelong friends.
Oh, there's no doubt, John. Those 3 girls that were just in here, they are tremendously protective of each other. I mean, Dez and Ella were de facto big sisters to Jerica when she got here, and she had to do a lot of growing up as a player and as a person in a very short period of time. And thankfully those two were there for her to show her what she needed to do. And they did. Middle schoolers oftentimes won't do that. Middle schoolers will go with what's fun or what's cool. They didn't do that. They were tremendously protective of her, and she is of them too. And that's one thing that sets them apart. I believe Des said it earlier, where Ella was a very quiet person, and I don't even say this jokingly. For the first 40, 45 minutes I knew the kid, I thought she was mute. Now she'll come up to my desk and tell me stories in the morning. I'll sit there with the biggest smile on my face because I knew what she was, and I know what these two girls have turned her into. And it's been their interactions with one another in teaching each other socially, academically, outside of basketball. It's not just passing and dribbling and shooting with them. It's, hey, you don't need to do that, or it's, hey, you can come on, join us, have fun. Okay, so that's, and you don't see that in middle school a lot.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. As we talked about with them, middle school is just kind of an odd time. It is. I mean, I don't think that's any secret. So, how have they said their version, but how do you think they've overcome those obstacles of the middle school drama and kind of latched onto each other and not only with each other, but they've become leaders in this building?
And there are probably some people that are going to disagree with me on this, but I think it has to do with their maturity. Ella is very mature for her age. Jerica has grown up over the last 2 years a lot. I mean, tremendously. And Des has had to fix some things about herself since she's got here. And those little things that they contribute to each other, I think, is the difference. Now, I think the maturity that they have about themselves together is what's made the difference.
I mean, just we told them, we said at the end of the interview, hey, you can sit around and make fun of Coach Rowland or whatever, but they said, hey, we got to go to class. We got work to do. I mean, you don't hear that much out of an eighth grader. Give them the option of staying out of class or going to class, and all three of them took. We got stuff to do.
Yeah,
and went and did it.
Yeah.
So
they. And again, some people are probably going to disagree with me, but those for 7th and 8th graders, Jerica's a 7th grader. For the 2 8th graders, those are probably 3 of the most mature, handled themselves very well girls I've been around in 10 years of being around athletics, and I've been in the classroom for 4 years. When it comes to those 3 together, their maturity about making each other better people is what's made the difference.
Fair to say that those 2, and then Jerica, when she leaves here next year, it's fair to say they've left a pretty indelible mark on this place, on James T. Alton.
When Des and Ella leave and go to North next year, that's gonna. And I looked at Jerica the other day when I told him we were going to do this, and I said, "Yeah, it's just going to be you and me next year, kid." And they almost started crying. Jerica will be okay because they've formed that type of bond. You think about it. When middle schoolers leave here, are they going to think about the people they leave behind? 90% of the time, the answer to that question is no. I'm telling you right now, these kids are going to make the effort to stay in contact with her and always be there to support her.
They've kind of taken that into this building, and we talked a little bit about that, but they've become examples, and you know, you've been around middle schools a long time. How difficult is it to express an emotion of kindness, an emotion of being there for each other? You know, in middle school, like you said, everybody wants to be cool. Everybody kind of wants to do their own thing. There's some drama, but those 3 have avoided it. How have they surpassed that?
their sense of unity together is what has made them better people in getting past, we don't, okay, that's not cool, so what? They're leaders in the school. Mm-hmm. They're leaders in the building, they're leaders in the community, mm-hmm. Okay? So they have developed the sense of, okay, that's cool, to you, mm-hmm. So what? Mm-hmm. We're going to support each other, we're going to be there for each other, we're going to make the right decisions. Sometimes they have to remind each other to do that. Right. But for the most part, they've done a fairly good job of keeping each other in check and supporting each other.
Sure. So, as we said, as Mr. Rowland has said, middle school is kind of a tough time, but those three young ladies have overcome those challenges, and that's what we encourage not just our middle schoolers, but all of our students to do, is overcome those challenges, be your own person, bond, be together with friends, and so that's what, if you want an example of that, Mr. Rowland can certainly point to these three and show you what a true example of kindness, of leadership, of setting the bar high can do. So again, we thank you for hanging out with us. It's been a fun time. It's been a very short time here at James T. Alton Middle School today. We hope you join us next month for another edition of HCS Matters.